Now I have officially found the best lens and focal length for an everyday carry camera type of setup. So let's talk about it. Now this is the Sony 40mm f2.5G lens, an ultra compact prime lens that serves as one of the most versatile lenses and focal lengths on the market, just in my opinion, of course. Now over the past year, I've been looking at ways to minimize my setup when it comes to walking the streets and just my overall daily carry. I used to take my camera everywhere. Yes, everywhere. But recently, lugging around a big bulky setup has really started to become an inconvenience, and so much so that I find myself leaving home without my camera. I had to fix that. Now 85mm has always been my go-to for street photography, but it isn't the most practical focal length for everyday carry and just capturing everyday moments. So I ended up picking up the Sony 50mm G Master lens for a little wider perspective and a more practical focal length for everyday carry. But as you can see, it's still pretty big and bulky and didn't really meet that minimalistic kind of setup that I was looking for. So back to the drawing board. So last year I got invited to the Masters golf tournament practice round in Augusta, Georgia. And usually cameras and cell phones are not allowed on the tournament grounds, but since this was just a practice round and not the actual tournament, I was able to bring my camera. Now since this was a one-day quick trip, I needed a compact setup that I could throw in my carry-on, so I ended up purchasing the 40mm f2.5 Sony G lens. I wanted something small, compact, lightweight that I wouldn't mind carrying around all day, but I also didn't want to sacrifice image quality because after all, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and I was getting some bangers at the Masters. It worked out perfectly, but when I got home from the trip, I took the lens off the camera, threw it up on the shelf, and honestly, I didn't really think of it as a lens or a focal length that I would use very often. Now fast forward a few months and I find myself drooling over the release of the Leica Q3-43, which, if you didn't know, is the Leica Q3 body, but instead of the fixed 28mm lens, it is a 43mm. And it kind of got me thinking, 43 mils? Well, I got a 40 mil, let me go ahead and pull it off the shelf, dust it off a little bit, throw it on the camera, and take it on a few street walks to see how it does. And needless to say, it is now my go-to everyday carry lens. And I mean, I'm not saying it's the end-all be-all or my favorite lens by any means, but it does have me throwing my camera back in my camera bag when I leave the house, and that's what it's all about. Maybe I'm just kind of preparing myself for the day I finally pull the trigger on the Leica. I'll be well acclimated to that 40 mil, but for now I'm loving it. And if you guys are looking for a new daily carry lens or maybe trying to lighten the load, just something you actually want to throw in the bag, that way you always have your camera with you, which I highly suggest, then maybe this new lineup of Sony lenses is the route to take. They have a 24 mil, a 40 mil, and a 50 mil. I suggest going with the 40 mil because it's just really a fantastic focal length. It's not too tight, it's not too wide, and it just works. So that's it for the video today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, queries, concerns, go ahead and drop them below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.